Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. All my psychic skills have been trained and honed. I've practiced. I've watched myself. Other people have watched me to ensure my accuracy rate to see if we can count on what it is that I say, and particularly what it is that I sketch. We are in very difficult times. I decided that I was going to go ahead and sketch the United States right now, right before this session, and to do the usual sketch of the collective mind map. In terms of the United States, and remember that this chat is the 3rd of June, 2024, and on Thursday, I believe it was, when Trump was found guilty of putting an expense in the wrong category. We're not even sure that he authorized it in the wrong category, but it doesn't really matter. But that was the crime. Um, And today in Congress, you have the questioning about COVID with Dr. Fauci. So I figured there would be something interesting in terms of the map. So here's the map that I sketched today of the United States. This is black magic. When it's that big, I would usually say that it's from off planet because they know how to do black magic. They do it all the time on us. It could be another country. But it basically matches the energy of this country. We're in deep trouble. But what I found really interesting was that the East Coast is in a rage. It's actually more red than that. My pen is running out of ink, so it's kind of light. But the fear is of lawsuits. And when you think about it, how many companies fired people, set incredible regulations up? How many hospitals didn't let people be with their loved ones when they were sick? How many people didn't get the right kind of care because of the COVID restrictions? I guess that's what's going through the business minds in the Northeast when they hear the testimonies. What that says to me is that the testimonies were very effective in proving what they wanted to prove, that this was a conspiracy, that this was not necessary, that people died that shouldn't have died. But then roll out the consequences. No respect for the doctors, no respect for the medical establishment, no respect for the government. So if these people that did this get taken down, we're still, because it means that it was proven that it was not really accurate, that we had to do all of these things. But it also means that everybody who acted on that misinformation now can be taken to court. You know, I have this book I've written, it's not out yet. One of the phrases that I came up with is we were created, human beings, to create, and then we were instructed to obey. And that's what happened with COVID. It was so huge, and the authorities were so focused on this has to happen, and people obeyed. Now, I was not in a position to have to make any great decisions when this happened. I was living on an island, Grove Isle, here in Miami. I didn't have contact with a lot of people, again, because of the politicos who have me totally isolated. But when the whole COVID thing came up, I went, why am I not feeling this? Why am I not seeing this? Why does this feel empty? This issue. Why don't I know more people who've gotten sick? And I would ask people, do you know a lot of people got sick? No, but it's really bad. And I actually asked a person, do you know of anybody who died from it? Yes. In my country, somebody I went to school with when I was in middle school, junior high, I heard that he died. Okay, of COVID. it never felt right. And here we go again with the whole issue with intuition. Everybody's intuitive. Everybody has intelligence of the heart, which is what Aristotle and Plato said was important. Everybody is psychic. And as you grow older, when you're a little kid, you're very psychic, and then it kind of gets beaten out of you. But if we had all honored our psychic abilities the way mothers do with when their children are sick, this would have never gotten this far. But we didn't. It's other dimensional, it's alternative. People who are psychic deal with the devil and with spirits. Yeah, we deal with the spirits, and yeah, sometimes we can see the devil, but some people that aren't psychic can see the devil too. If we had not disrespected the human mind and its abilities, especially its psychic abilities, this would have never gotten this far. And we are a nation that is going under. This big X, we're going to take care of that. All of these companies, Northeast, their big rage is the lawsuits that are going to come against them. Where is the rage about the people that died? The people that died alone with their families outside in the parking lots, and the person dying in the heart. Come on. Now, in terms of the country, the result of this, I would assume it's on top of what happened with Trump. But let's not get into politics. What we have in the United States is a lack of will to live now. And shame. Shame is the lowest vibration of all the emotions. When you have shame, it's very difficult for you to get ahead, for you to sell your stuff, for people to listen to you, because you're busy energetically keeping your head low because you're ashamed. It's the lowest vibration. It's lower than hatred. We are now a country full of shame. We are a country with a lack of will to live. Now, the lack of will to live came today, not on Thursday. The big result in my thoughts, I'm not going to say I did a big study on it because I didn't, having to do with the lawsuit was, anything goes. You don't need to pay attention to the law anymore because it can be manipulated and twisted, ignored, stomped on. So, hey, and that's when I said, hey, I got here late. Big deal. Why should I be coloring inside the lines when other people in much more important things are not? That was on Friday after the Trump jury trial. It has nothing to do with whether I like Trump or not. Nothing to do with that. It has to do with what apparently all the lawyers in the United States agree on, that this was not done correctly. It has nothing to do with a law being broken. But this today, those testimonials, basically this is a country that is finished. Now it's a question of, like the ascension process, it's very complicated and very scary. How bad is it going to be? The fall. Can we make it more graceful? I'm sure that we can. These dotted lines is a spaceship. I put the word spaceship right over the United States. What does that mean? I have no idea. And I'm not going to find out what it means today because this is where I live. This is where my family lives. This is where my income comes from. This is where I expect to live the rest of my life. This is a problem for me and for all of us. So the other interesting thing is in the Gulf of Mexico, red. So I'm going to tell you, because I said that I would say everything and I wouldn't take into consideration what kind of an audience I have. I don't know what your belief system is, but Texas was getting invaded from the underworld via the Gulf of Mexico. The underworld was opened up with the BP oil accident when they perforated 5,000 feet below the earth and they broke open what's called the Brahmavara, which is the door to hell. They broke it and it was not able to be fixed. Not able to be fixed. Remember when that opening, the hole was just gushing oil, and many of us could see the slithering spirits come out from there? Those were from the underworld, not happy that we intruded in their space because we should not have been down there. When we were working on Texas in preparation for the two eclipses, the October and then the April eclipse that crisscrossed Texas, psychically, when I was working with the Mantrista, the group, I said, why don't we just ask those beings from the underworld to kind of give us a break? We don't know what's going on here. We did. And they said that they would help and they would stop invading. I was shocked because that was like a throwaway statement. Why don't we just ask them to stop invading? Well, Jesus Christ, I think, showed that you just tell a spirit, get out of here, and they leave. That doesn't apply to all of them, but enough of them, the earthbound spirits. And here, these were not underneath the earth, and they stopped. But now it's red. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to read it today. How's that? How's that? We are in trouble. But I have to remind you and myself that I was told 5-10 years ago, when you're a psychic and you spend as much time in the other dimensions and you hold down consciously several dimensions at a time, time becomes an issue. So when I say 5 or 10 years ago, there's a big difference. For you, it's a big difference. For me, it's not. So 5 or 10 years ago, I was told that on the planet, for the first time in human history, we would be able to create our own reality independent of everyone else. It would be individualized. It would not be a reality, a collective reality. So this is how we looked before I started this chat. It's a lot of anger. And those mind streams are very long and very depressed. So we're going to do the mantra with the music therapy. And I have seen on X, which is where I really get all of my news, that people are starting to remind themselves and us that we create our reality, and we do. We created all of this. The Gulf of Mexico issue was due to our intruding into other worlds. I'm going to say something now, I'm not sure it's accurate. Supposedly in the North Pole, there's an opening to go into the underworld. Maybe that's why they have it so prohibited that people go there and just visit or check out what it is that's going on there. So we invaded the underworld with the BP oil accident, and it was enough that due to that, the Mayan said that the calendar would have to be ended and a new calendar would begin in 2012. I know the BP oil accident was at a different time prior, but that opening in the earth set us up for an infusion. I'm just realizing I think the accident was in 2005, and in 2012, which is when 5,000 years ago, the Mayans said that we were going to have to ditch the calendar and start a new one. December 21st, 2012, planet Earth totally aligned with supermassive black hole Sagittarius. And for, I believe, 8 minutes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on December 21st, 2012, there was a total alignment. And an energy from the black hole poured into this planet just for 8 minutes and was able to penetrate deep into the planet because of the hole left by the BP oil accident. And that's what changed the vibration of the world that required a new calendar. And I'm thinking it's a conduit. And all these implants that I'm finding in people, the movie The Matrix, let us know that we have implants. I've been closing a hole in the left side of people's heads when I see that they have it open, due mainly to radiation, mainly with young people, because they've been radiated since before they were born with the sonograms, etc., the mother's texting, holding the phone near their uterus, etc. But I didn't realize that that opening, which allowed all this bad energy to come in, I didn't realize that what there is a conduit. It's a channel. It's not just open and things come in. There's a channel and very specific energy come in. And so that BP oil accident created an opening the same way radiation creates an opening. And then you get a channel that gets inserted. And you channel. I don't know what we channeled from Sagittarius, but it was bad enough that the Mayans knew 5,000 years before that it would change the vibration of the planet. So here we are. Here's where you are. And so let's go ahead and get some work done, because I have to end a little bit. It was 2010. Thank you. Thank you, Sitlali. Always very helpful. So my horoscopes this week, which I have not done in English, but I think I may try to do it tomorrow morning, talks about this week being chaotic and there being a lot of opportunities for tragedies, but not tragedies from the 12 signs that I read, the 12 signs that we have. It was not tragedies in terms of death. It was tragedies mainly in terms of relationships and in happenings in the person's life. Certainly, the congressional hearings today will create tragedy for many people, the entire medical profession. What medical doctor is going to be able to feel proud of themselves unless they really put themselves on the line and said no to everything that they were supposed to do, at which time they were left without money, without jobs, and they were in a place where they could have ended up in jail. Very few did that. So when I do my horoscopes, I don't actually know what it is that I'm going to be telling people until I actually start to talk about it, the same way as here. But this is going to be a week full of tragedies. Everybody that's in the medical profession, it doesn't really matter. The nurses, the nurse practitioners, the people that work in hospitals, the people that sign those death certificates, all the organizations, the people that own hospitals, everybody. It's a tragedy. The tragedy is what happened to all of us, including them. And then the result of revelations, we're in revelations, is another tragedy, because it throws an entire country, I'm going to say it, industry, a medical industry, into shame. And then you get all the lawsuits. So let's go ahead. Let's do the shame mantra, because that's for everybody. Because if you're not in medical, then you don't have any reason to be ashamed of that. But you do have a reason to be ashamed of something. You kicked your cousin when you were young. You stole money out of your mother's purse when you were 13. Whatever. You had an affair. You never told your husband. Whatever. We all have things we can be ashamed of. It's part of the human process. Let's go ahead and do the shame mantra. And a lot of you who never put a comment up there, I'd like for you to put a comment when you see how much better you feel, even after doing it several times. So this is the mantra. It's a purification mantra. Even though I'm ashamed, I love and accept myself. Remember that the mantras are always repeated in silence. And I'm going to get the music now. And you just you expel the breath through your mouth, and I'm going to get the music that's for the solar plexus, which is called, no, I'm going to do the whale because that's very deep. And a lot of our shame we hold in our subconscious very deep. And the Mayans said that that would come up at this point, that our subpersonalities that we hide because we're ashamed, or we think we're going to end up in jail if we actually allow that to play out too much, whatever that subpersonality does. So I'm going to use the whale music therapy. Is that incredible? Did you know that 33% of the population of the planet has dolphin or whale energy streaming into them as a core part of their consciousness? So, and whale was the first animal that God put on the planet according to the Bible. Going back to what's happening this week, don't you feel a lot better? I started my practice in the 90s, and I was told by lawyers that I could never, ever, ever use the word healing in any documents. I could never say that I gave a healing. I could never talk about the word healing, which is why we use the word purify. And it's true, a healing is when you purify things. But that's the extent to which the medical mafia has had us under control. In the hospitals, they're not allowed to give you a healing. They have to give you medication, procedures, whatever. So who's supposed to be giving the healings? Nobody, because that's too simple. So I'm just going to say a couple more statements. Oh, you guys look good. You got the protection of the 3 triangles. Remember, they protected the pharaoh's body in Egypt in the pyramids. Triangle. That is like shock. And I don't know why all that orange energy, that's not red, that's orange, coming off. I don't see the mind streams, but this is about 1,000 times better than what we look like collectively before we started the mantra. That's a healing. Am I going to be allowed to use the word healing from here on out? So let me tell you what we did about the plague, because we do not use the word, the name they called the plague. First place, we investigated it with remote viewing, and then we couldn't say what we saw. And we're never going to be able to say what we saw. But with about a year into it, I came up with a mantra, and I said, I think this is going to help. So the mantra was, even though I hate, my heart is broken. Even though I hate and my heart is broken, I love and accept myself. And it just came to me intuitively, but it turned out that the plague was all about the heart energy center, the heart chakra, the breathing issues, the tubes that they would put in, etc. And now the heart attacks, myocardium, whatever it's called. And so about a year later, people in the chat, our group, the Mantrista movement, said, did you notice that really nobody died from this, or very few people got sick? And if they did, it was very little. And we all agreed, oh my God, maybe that mantra really did make a huge difference. And it did. And I don't have the permission to share the story, and I would obviously always share it without the name. I have to ask somebody's permission. But in regular medical, you can't call anything a miracle. You can say it like just like a joke or just like an off-the-cuff comment. But in alternative, you can create miracles. And some of the changes with the mantras are literally miraculous. We have now, see, I don't know how strong the medical mafia still is. So I'm not going to be able to share a lot of stuff, but I would strongly suggest that you follow us, because we are several thousand people and nobody's getting paid anything. And we have a commitment. Everybody is very family oriented and very oriented towards the well-being of the family. Also prosperity, but it's basically family. And we have had incredible successes, such as like with, I think I won't go to jail for this, high blood pressure is a result of excess fire. So we've had so many of our group using the mantra, even though I hate and I love and accept myself, which reduces the fire in you and in your environment. We have had so many of our group that have had incredibly high blood pressure, a couple of them on the way to the emergency because they thought they would have a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. By the time they got there, the blood pressure was normal, just with the mantra, because we reduced the fire, not with me and the person and the mantra, the person and the mantra. No other person, no other object, no other technique, just simply the mantra. Because we directed the mantra to purifying what it is that causes high blood pressure, which is extra fire. So we've had a lot of successes that we have had to basically not share because of the medical mafia, which were the same people that did the whole thing about the plague. And then over here, I'm dealing with the political mafia. I mean, how many more years of this is this going to go on to where people are getting away with murder? And it's the good guys that have to be hiding in closets and not going out and fearing for their lives and their children. I mean, obviously, something is very out of sorts in this country. But what I find most interesting today, because of the sketch that I did, and the bottom line for the United States, these testimonies were in US Congress, lack of will to live and shame. And in terms of my political enemies, the fascinating thing about them is that their biggest issue is not that they're denying everything that they did. They're not denying that they sex trafficked me or they did all the other things that they do. Their biggest issue is shame. Their families did not know this. That's their biggest problem. They don't want the families to know. And it's the same issue here. Shame. And shame is the lowest vibration. It's what will take you down the quickest. And if there's an illness around, people full of shame who've lost their will to live, especially with such exposure publicly, are going to be the first people to get sick, the first people to die, and a lot of them will commit suicide. We're not in a good place. On the other hand, for people that have simpler solutions to things like medical issues, it's an opening. Is it an opportunity, or are we still going to get beaten up and told, like my lawyers told me in the 90s, do not use the word healing. The only people that can use that word is the medical profession. They can't use it. They will never say to somebody, I'm going to heal you. So nobody can do it. And they're all Catholic, Christian, Protestant. Jesus Christ did healings. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I follow Christ. He's my God and my Lord, my Savior, whatever. So nobody in the United States can use the word healing or can do one. How convoluted did this all get? Enough that it's going to take us down. So we're finished for tonight, but you should feel a lot better. And we will be here tomorrow. Okay? Thank you for joining me. I'm Frances Fox.